Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to June's edition of the Monitoring Academy newsletter. It is good to be back. I'm sorry there's been a bit of a delay, but hopefully normal service will be resumed now. So today we are going to kick things off by looking at our top video from the last month, and today it is Jazz and the prerequisite scanner. Now this is by my colleague Saurabh Nachne in America, and essentially he talks us through running the pre-req checker and looking at steps you need to follow and the kind of feedback that you'll get from the pre-req scanner, the messages that it will give to you. So this is really handy. This is something we definitely strongly recommend. If you're going to try and install Jazz, always make sure to run the PRS before, because Jazz is quite temperamental about every prerequisite being hit. So this is definitely something we'd recommend you take a look at. Moving on, we are going to take a look at our top blogs. Now we're kicking off with another one from Saurabh. This is the ITM Agent Insights, and it's looking at multiple ITM agent files under etc init.d. So essentially this is going through why are these files there and do we actually need them all? Now, you can remove some of them, and Saurabh does go through your steps to do this. But again, this is probably something we would be careful about. I definitely recommend you check this blog out before you go removing anything. We once had a customer who decided that he needed to remove all the .dll files from his machine because, well, why would Windows possibly need all of them? So if this is something you're curious about, just make sure you take a look at this blog before you go making any changes. Moving on from that, we have one by Lawrence, one of the US engineers, and this is specifically looking at APAR IV81845. This is a problem with the ifstats daemon on AIX. Now what he basically does is he goes through some steps you can look at to identify this problem without having to go through and change your trace level. Now, he's got a link here to a document about it, but he has actually pointed out that there is a typo in there. So rather than lz.ini, that's the Linux agent, you actually need to make the change to the ux.ini, which is the Unix agent, which is the one that you would need for AIX. Also, this only appears to impact certain agents, so again you can take a look at the documentation here and check on that. There's other symptoms you can look at here, so this is actually a very good document basically showing you all the ways that you can check to see if this is an issue you're hitting. So well recommended. Thanks very much, Lawrence. After this we have an APM issue. This is by Sushama, and this is looking at the APM v8 dashboard failing to load user groups for the LDAP registry. Now this is an issue with the Liberty Profiles server, and if you have the LDAP user registry set up, you might get an error, failed to load user groups. So this is actually a problem with the LDAP server to APM returning more users than Liberty is configured to handle. So you need to make some changes to the LDAP registry.xml, and essentially we're talked through how to fix this. We look at some error messages to look for. Specifically, it's quite a clear message. The user registry operation could not be completed. 5,000 search results exceeds the specified maximum search limit of 4,500. It's nice to see a clear distinct error message in our logging. So if you're having a problem with this, if you're using APM v8, this might well be the solution you're looking for. After this, there is actually one of my blogs, and this is looking at the Rascorba system exception. This is just a quick little snippet, and this was essentially one that I'd never run across before. And this was, again, it's one of these where the error is kind of generic, but in this specific one, it was actually due to the customer's self-signed certificates having expired. Now, you can sort that just by using iKeyman. So it could be worth, if you run across this Corba error, could be worth checking your self-signed certificates. Just make sure they're still in date, because the error itself, KFW1004E, a fatal condition, it's not the most useful of error messages. So this is one you might just want to check into. Moving on from that, we have another one by Sushama, and this is setting the appropriate APM server size. Now, as with any ITM or APM installation, this is an important thing. You always need to make sure that you have sufficient hardware resources, your Java heap, your no files, all that needs to be set correctly. So what we have here is basically just a list of recommended configurations. Server size.sh script will allow you to check the server size setting, steps to increase the server size. So again, if you're looking to get started, or if you're having some problems that are possibly related to performance or capacity, this could well be worth your time. Second to last is Sushama again, and it's long-term history collection and reporting in APM v8. They're looking at long-term history collection. Can we use ITM TCR to generate reports for APM agents? APM v8 currently does not have the sort of long-term history that ITM 6 does. This is something that is being looked into. But there are some things you can do, as are demonstrated here. So we've got some lovely screenshots, custom views, and you can generate reports for APM v8 agents, but of course they will be limited to only the last 32 days. So we go through the limitations here, documentation links, and some instructions. That is a really, really good blog. Our final one today is by Eric Montagnon in the ITCAM team, and it is the fourth part of ITCAM for T, Robotic, RPT, Best Practices, and Pitfalls. These have been a great series of blogs from Eric going into really, really good detail about the sort of things you need to keep an eye out for ITCAM for T. So again, if you're using ITCAM for T, well worth checking this one out. There's some great information here that will hopefully mean you won't need to log it a case with us. Moving on, let's take a look at our APARs. The first one here is IJ02857, and essentially this is an uplift of the Java runtime environment that we ship with our products. This is so that we get all the fixes that were included in Oracle's October 2017 critical patch update. So as you can see here, we have included details of the fixes that you need to download on your environment. As with anything, we would recommend you get this on as quickly as possible, as these are security issues that we're looking to resolve. So yeah, try and get this one in your environment as quick as you can. The next one is IJ06085. This is a problem with the ITM agentless agents. And this is following an upgrade to ITM 6.3 Fix Pack 7. Specifically, it is a problem where the OS platform and OS version fields in the database are not correctly updated. We don't have any more details on this. It's a new APAR, so we'll just need to keep an eye on this one, and hopefully we'll have a fix sometime soon. The next is IJ06425, and this is looking to implement a secure TACMD login to the TEMS. So this is to enhance TACMD to support encrypted passwords. Again, no specific details on this. It's a new APAR, so we'll just need to keep an eye on it. The next one is quite a long one. Now, this is looking at, oh, I'm sorry, I'll go back and I'll give you the number. This is IJ06710, and this is a doc APAR for the log file agent users guide. And specifically, this is adding in details on when new file poll interval or KUMP DP file switch check interval should be used. It's quite a long document, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but essentially, yeah, this is a doc APAR. Hopefully we'll get this fixed at some point later this year. And finally today we have IJ04522. As with the previous GRE one, this is us looking to uplift the version of GSKit that we ship with our products. We don't have any specific details on what version that's going to be, so just keep an eye on this one, and hopefully we'll have some more details for you down the line. And finally today we are going to take a look at our tech notes and flashes. The first up is a security bulletin regarding vulnerabilities in the IBM Java JRE. E. So once again, we have a list of potential vulnerabilities that have been identified and a link to the uplifted version of the JRE. So once again, as these are potential security issues, we would recommend that you get this on your environment as soon as possible. Moving on, we have a problem with some previous fixes, specifically with OA54564 and IJ04324. So if you have these on your environment, these can cause high CPU for IBM Tivoli monitoring processes. So if you have installed these, our recommendation at this time is to please back these out. They may negatively impact your environment. We're going to look at getting another version of these out at some point, but for right now, please just back these out from your environment. Our next one is a problem with the OS agent event log situation, and basically it works until we have a specific event and then it fails. So this is a problem apparently specifically on 6.3 Fixpack 4, and essentially what you have to do is you have to set NTLog throttle to 1 and it may resolve the issue. If it doesn't, if you're still having problems, then I think at this point what we would suggest is that you log a case with support and we can go to level 3 about it. Moving on, we have the ITM Unix OS agent and its usage of Java. Specifically, somebody has asked, is it a Java-based agent using JSSE, that is Java Secure Socket Extension? And no, it's not a Java-based agent. It doesn't use any Java code. It's used by installation and configuration, but not the actual agent process. So there you go. I guess you don't need to read the tech note now. Moving on. The distribution queue situation or report fails with CNB 7007. So essentially, after your agent's been running for a while, you might get this message flashing up. This has been identified as a defect under APAR IV 90312, and there's some details here on exactly how to diagnose it. You can resolve it with a local workaround. So essentially, this is a problem where the spool files are accumulating over time. So even though the file gets deleted, there's an empty placeholder for that file, and it counts towards the maximum spool file count. So essentially you run out of max spool files. So according to this, you can max this out in just 35 days, which isn't particularly good for a mainframe system. So we've got an APAR for it, but in the meantime, here is a workaround for you. The next one is a problem with the monitoring agent install failing with feature error 1618. Another install is already in progress. Now, this is caused by the MSI exec.exe running on the system. Now, it could be that the process is hung and isn't actually complete. So what you need to do is check the task list and see if you have multiple ones of this process running. So if you find it, you can stop it directly and then you should be able to complete the install. The next one is a customer asking how you use create node within TACMD, and essentially this is just a nice little walkthrough on how you use it, what you can use it for, and some of the details. So that is a very handy little tech note if this is something that you need some further information on. Another one, we have the Thames unexpectedly shutting down, and this is with a problem with one of the Thames DB files, specifically QE1 CSITF cannot be opened. So this is caused by a timing issue when there is an attempt to access the situation description table while another thread is updating or adding a situation group. There's no workaround for this because it is a timing issue, but there is a fix which is contained in ITM 623 Fixpack 5. Second to last, we have the log file agent not showing events in the portal. What you will have is that when you're using the log file agent to parse the logs, none of the events are being displayed in your portal, even though as far as you can tell, the logs are telling you that everything's fine. Now, this is usually a problem with the regular expression. So what you have to do is you have to place a caret at the beginning of the regular expression, and it's got a demonstration of what that would look like here. And if you do that, this should hopefully resolve the problem. If it doesn't, then as I stated earlier, just go ahead and log a case with support and we can take a look into things for you. And finally, we have the ITM Linux OS process command name is empty in the TEP process list. So in the Linux OS process workspace, the process command name for some processes will be empty. This doesn't affect all of them, nor even a specific type. This is a change that was made after ITM 6.3 Fixpack 2. We introduced a process cache, which is active by default. So this specifically seems to happen when a process is initially running and then is stopped and started again. So we have some diagnosis here, we've got some log settings for you, some messages to look for, and essentially what you have to do is you have to turn off the process's cache setting. So you've got KLZ process CMD sample seconds equals 0. Well, that is it for the June edition of the Monitoring Academy newsletter. I would just like to thank you for your patience if you've come back to watch this one. We will have a July one out next month, and then hopefully we'll get back on track for the rest of the year. So thank you very much for your time today. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for watching this video at the IBM Monitoring Academy. We appreciate your feedback, so please feel free to use the comments box below. We'd also love you to check the thumbs up box if you appreciated this video. We have added several helpful links to the YouTube comments box below so you can find all our other content on social media. I would definitely recommend that you check out the blogs on DevWorks. Take care.